Turkey teeth. Some say that the eyes are the window to the soul, though many would argue that a smile is the true way to gauge someone's intentions. But how far would you go for that perfect grin? Turkey teeth refers to a cosmetic dental procedure popularized in cheap holiday destinations like Turkey, where many large dental procedures are notably cheaper than it may be in its US counterpart. The low cost promises the average Joe that perfect Hollywood smile, often on a Hollywood Boulevard budget. The method of achieving this involves aggressively filing down natural teeth to accommodate crowns, often resulting in an unnaturally white and sometimes denture-like appearance. Recently, this procedure has become especially controversial due to concerns about long-term oral health and the ever-growing number of botched cases, often showcased on the social media platform TikTok since roughly 2022. In the best of cases, the procedure can be incredibly positive and a life-changing procedure, especially in cases where people have lost large amounts of teeth due to decay at a later stage in their life. In this instance, crowns do prove to be useful. However, more often than not, the people getting this done and showcasing it on TikTok are the younger, wannabe influencer crowd. They shave down perfectly healthy teeth to nothing more than dolphin-like pigs, and then have luminescent white crowns glued onto the top. This trend is mainly a British one due to the ever-increasing price of dental care in the UK. However, there have been many horror stories of infections occurring due to these cheap crowns. If an infection does happen, many UK dentists who are a part of the National Health Service will not offer any medical help due to them not being the ones who fit them, meaning that unless you can afford another flight back to Turkey, then you very may well lose your teeth entirely if the infection spreads. Turkey teeth is an example of vanity gone too far, with many people disillusioned by the promise of the perfect smile, only left to look botched, or with no teeth entirely. In most cases, if something sounds too good to be true, it usually is. Dr. Kenny smiles. Whilst the UK has the horrible trend of turkey teeth, the United States does have their own demon of dentistry. Dr. Kenny smiles. He made a name for himself on social media as a miracle worker, granting smile transformations to his clients for free and changing their lives in the process. However, beneath the surface and smiles lies a more sinister story. His facade as a nice guy all came crumbling down when TikTok user at Arrows Slimes appeared before the camera in tears, distraught about a message Kenny had sent her. She had originally reached out to the doctor in an attempt to have some free dental work done to be part of a TV show he was filming. The message she received back seemed to shine a light on the true intentions behind Dr. Smiles' good deeds. The message he sent to her was the following: skull emoji. The show is more than a sad story, and with your size, you don't fit the bill. This message would appear to be completely out of character for the way that Dr. Kenny had portrayed himself online. However, it wouldn't be long before former patients came in waves to prove his seedier side. In the end, it turns out that Dr. Kenny was nothing more than another grifter and creep. Many women came out and exposed their uncomfortable encounters with him, including one TikTok who shared a DM showing Kenny saying, "I only wanted to have sex with you anyway." As it said, no good deed goes unpunished, but it appears the punishment of being outed on the internet is befitting in this instance. Unfortunately, Dr. Kenny still posts to this day, and even more worrying, the majority of his clients appear to still be young women. Going by the comments, many people seem completely unaware as to what Dr. Kenny has said in the past, and many people are still asking to have their smiles transformed by this sleazy man. Pink sauce. If you haven't heard of this ridiculous pink sauce saga, let me explain. Pink sauce is a Pepto-Bismol colored condiment created by self-proclaimed TikTok chef at Chef P, where in 2022 she would record herself dipping almost every food item on earth in the unique looking sauce, prompting it to soon go viral. Eventually, at the Chef P released the ingredient list for the sauce, which consisted of sunflower seed oil, honey, chili, garlic, and dragon fruit, the last ingredient being what apparently gives the sauce its neon appearance. Chef P herself stated that the sauce was 100% naturally colored, with no additives, so what could possibly go wrong? As Chef P prepared to launch her sauce for people to buy, the color of the product slowly started to change to a more muted, almost seafood sauce color, which outraged people, as most were only buying it due to its unique appearance and texture. Chef P responded to these claims, stating that the only reason her sauce looked so vibrant prior was due to lighting, and that the newly packed lot was still the same tasty sauce she had been teasing for the past few months. It was only when people began to receive their sauce that all hell broke loose. People en masse began to receive rancid batches of the sauce that had been expired in transit, the packages often arriving bloated due to bacteria accumulating in the bottle, or the bottle having exploded completely. Soon, people began to realize that Chef P had forgotten to divulge the main and perhaps most important ingredient of the sauce: milk, which of course is not shelf or shipping stable unless the proper precautions are taken, which is appalling for a bottle of pink goop, which cost $20 at launch and apparently tastes awful. If you thought that was bad, it turned out that her product wasn't FDA approved at launch. Chef P said that it didn't need to be because she wasn't selling a medical product, which begs the question of her validity as a chef if she doesn't know the very basics of health and safety when it comes to food regulation. To cut a long story short, the pink sauce saga was nothing more than a project that burned too brightly and then fizzled out, banished to gather dust on dollar store shelves. This hasn't deterred Chef P, however, as she has recently ventured into further sauce territories, launching some blue sauces as of recent times. Tide Pods. In the ever-expanding universe of internet challenges, few reach the heights and lows of the Tide Pod challenge. The trend began in 2018 and saw individuals, primarily teenagers, filming themselves pretending to eat the brightly colored laundry detergent pods. The consequences, however, were far from lighthearted. The exact origins of this challenge remained murky. Some speculated it stemmed from niche memes in small circles, and then into the wider masses once College Humor made a joke about it in late 2017. All that is really known is that for some reason in late 2017 and up until 2019, Tidebot jokes were rampant on platforms like Twitter and TikTok. Soon these platforms witnessed an influx of actual videos where participants bit into or even consumed the pods. While some were clearly staged, the potential for harm was undeniable. Tide Pods, despite their candy-like appearance, obviously contain concentrated cleaning chemicals that can be toxic if ingested. However, the young children who may have witnessed these staged videos online would have much less social media awareness and may have even attempted to mirror what they saw their favorite influencers and what they were doing. Several other factors fueled the challenge's rapid spread. The rise of challenge culture, for one, where users attempt daring and often dangerous acts for online clout, no doubt played a significant role, and during this period, challenge culture certainly did rule the internet. Think of other viral challenges such as the Cinnamon or Iceberg challenge. Everything was a challenge in the mid-2010s. This was no exception. The American Association of Poison Control Centers reported a surge in calls related to laundry detergent exposure coinciding with the trend, and unfortunately, it is thought that 8 fatalities occurred as a result of Tide Pod ingestion near this time, mainly to children 5 and under, so whether it was directly due to the Tide Pod challenge is unknown. Public health officials, along with Tide's parent company, Procter & Gamble, scrambled to counter the challenge. Public service announcements were released, as well as celeb spokespersons, urging kids not to eat Tide Pods. Social media platforms also took action, removing or age-restricting videos promoting the challenge, and what TikTokers referred to as the forbidden fruit. In 2024, the Tide Pod Challenge feels like a distant memory and can be looked back on as an inside joke that simply got out of hand. Hopefully, we'll never see another challenge as dumb as this one ever again. Blackout Challenge. So apparently there is an even dumber challenge out there. The Blackout Challenge, also known as the Choking Challenge or Pass Out Challenge, has existed for decades, often spreading through word of mouth on the playground. It involves intentionally cutting off oxygen supply to the brain until the point of passing out. This can be achieved through self-strangulation, hyperventilation, or applying pressure to the chest. The allure for some lies in the supposed euphoria experienced upon regaining consciousness. However, the risks are severe. Depriving the brain of oxygen can lead to seizures, brain damage, and even death. The rise of TikTok, with its focus on short, engaging videos, created a breeding ground for the Blackout Challenge to resurface. Graphic depictions of the challenge, often accompanied by upbeat music, listen the very real dangers. Again, this is where challenge culture comes into play. Many users would have felt social pressure to perform this stupid act, and many faced real consequences. News outlets were soon flooded with reports of young people suffering from severe brain injuries or even death after attempting the challenge. The case of Archie Battersby, a 12-year-old boy who suffered brain damage after attempting the challenge, was a real-life example of the damage this challenge could cause. Unfortunately, Archie Battersby passed away on the 1st August 2022 after the courts decided that it would be in his best interest that his life support machine be turned off, a decision that the parents wholeheartedly disagreed with, though had no choice against the ruling of the hospital and a high court judge. TikTok faced immense pressure to take action. The platform implemented stricter content moderation policies, removing videos, prompting the challenge, and redirecting searches to warnings about its dangers. Public health officials also launched awareness campaigns educating parents and young people about the risks of the Blackout Challenge. Schools and community centers incorporated safety talks into their programs, emphasizing the importance of responsible online behavior. The Blackout Challenge may have disappeared from TikTok feeds, but its impact continues to resonate. The Blackout Challenge and the Tide Pod Challenge only goes to prove that not everything should be done for online clicks and the approval of others, no matter if some say it's no more than a harmless joke. Ice Cream Challenge. The ice cream licking trend of 2019. Sounds like a crazy title, but this short-lived craze was defined by people opening store-bought ice cream, licking it or tampering with it, and in other ways then putting it back on shelves for unsuspecting customers to then later buy. The exact origin of the ice cream licking trend is unclear. Some speculate it stemmed from this video on Twitter. Regardless of its origins, the ice cream licking trend quickly gained traction. Social media platforms like TikTok and YouTube were flooded with videos of people taking a lick from store-bought ice cream cartons before putting them back, the perpetrators finding this funny rather than disgusting. The act of licking ice cream in a store and returning it to the shelf posed a significant health risk. Contamination with bacteria and viruses could easily occur, potentially leading to foodborne illnesses. The concern wasn't just for the person who might unknowingly purchase the tampered ice cream. Cross-contamination within the freezer could put countless other consumers at risk. This disregard for public health was a major factor in the swift backlash against the trend. This got so bad that police departments launched full-scale investigations in an attempt to track down the ice cream lickers. And this hilarious photo shows two policemen guarding the ice cream aisle so that no product could be licked. As there always is with the internet, an unexpected silver lining appeared. A counter-trend emerged, dubbed the Ice Cream Challenge. This wholesome alternative encouraged people to purchase ice cream and eat it like a normal person would. Another licking challenge soon popped up in 2021, arguably of the more favorable kind, the devious lick challenge, saw kids stealing the most ridiculous items they could find from their schools and getting away with it. These included soap dispensers, fire alarm covers, and the whole school bus, allegedly. Out of the two lick challenges, and after a global pandemic, I think I know what one I'd prefer to see on TikTok. Paul Breach at Snapshot Eye. Snapshot Eye / Paul Breach is perhaps one of the cringiest yet most disturbing influencers on TikTok. His career on TikTok began with a video of him dancing to Green Green Grass by George Ezra. This awkward dance is what shot him to TikTok fame, and shortly after, he began posting more and more of these type of videos to his platform, some of which delved into thirst trap content. However, as his fame grew, people began noticing a peculiar pattern of behavior. He would only seem to respond to young girls in his comments and on his lives, often flirting with them. Keep in mind, this is a man in his 40s, chatting to teenage girls online. Soon, he was caught liking photos of underage girls on Instagram. When called out on this, he stated it was because she was a cancer survivor and that he wanted to show her his support by liking a bikini photo she posted. Prior to social media, Paul Breach also worked as a carer, where he admitted to kissing his patients on the lips, defending his actions as no more than cheeky flirtation, which is highly disturbing considering that being a carer alludes to the fact that the people he surrounded himself with and was potentially taking advantage of them to feel some sense of power. It seems Paul enjoys having power over vulnerable people, especially women. At some point, he ended up in a relationship with a 19-year-old girl and watcher of his content after inviting her to his house. It soon came out that at some point, when Paul was between the ages of 27 through 28, he impregnated a 16-year-old girl. And whilst not illegal in the UK, it is absolutely despicable behavior, and with all we've learned about Paul, it seems to be a disturbing trend. Paul has had numerous TikTok accounts banned, and at one point was vlogging from a tent due to having allegedly spent all his TikTok revenue on absolute nonsense. Paul always seems to pop up time and time again like a cockroach and roams the street of the UK as a social pariah, with people shouting pedo accusations towards him on the street. Only time will tell how the Paul Breach saga will continue to unfold. RandNatica / Body in Suitcase. In June 2020, a group of teenagers in Seattle, Washington stumbled upon a horrifying discovery that would forever alter their lives and send shockwaves through the online world. Their adventure, fueled by a location-based app called RandNatica, an app that exploded in popularity in early 2020. RandNatica promised a unique brand of exploration. It used an algorithm to generate random geographical coordinates, sending users on quests to discover hidden gems in their surroundings. Users were prompted to enter an intention for their journey, and the app was supposed to lead you to something relating to that prompt / intention. The element of surprise and the potential for uncovering something extraordinary fueled its popularity, particularly among teenagers seeking adventure, especially during the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic, where social distancing was widespread and many hangout spots were closing down. RandNatica promised to bridge that gap and provide users with an exciting journey, and one that could take place in the great outdoors. On a seemingly ordinary day, a group of teenagers embarked on an exploration based on the app's coordinates. Their destination led them to a shoreline, beneath a bridge, and, more importantly, to a singular black suitcase set on top of the rocks. They soon discovered that inside the suitcase lay human remains, wrapped in black trash bags. The teenagers were remarkably filming their RandNatica journey and subsequently filmed their live reactions as they discovered the body parts on camera, followed by the aftermath of police being called to the scene. Now, for many, the story ends here. However, the discovery of the suitcase and the remains within led to the arrest of Michael Dudley in Seattle. The remains in the suitcase were found to be two of his tenants and longtime couple, Jessica Lewis and Austin Winner. It seemed they had gotten into an argument over unpaid rent on 9th June of 2020. Following this, Dudley shot the couple, dismembered both bodies, and then placed the remains in a suitcase, as seen on the TikTok video. The suitcase was found only 2 days after the murders took place, and 3 days after that, another suitcase was found, also containing human remains. Michael Dudley is now serving a life sentence in prison after being charged on 2 counts of second-degree murder. Who knows when or if the first set of remains would ever have been found had it not been for RandNatica leading these unsuspecting teens to the location of the remains. The video and the events following will certainly go down in TikTok history. Tix and Roses. Tix and Roses rose to fame on TikTok by creating content centered around her Tourette's. Her videos featured her experiencing various tics, both vocal and physical, gaining 500,000 followers in the process. Initially, she garnered sympathy and support from viewers touched by her struggles. She also positioned herself as an advocate for raising awareness about TS. However, doubts began to creep in as viewers noticed inconsistencies in her portrayal of Tourette's. One red flag emerged from an old Facebook livestream that resurfaced. The hour-long video, predating her TikTok fame, showed Emerald interacting normally with no tics present. This stark contrast to her TikTok persona fueled the speculation. Emerald addressed the Facebook livestream controversy, claiming it was filmed during a period when her TS symptoms were less severe. However, this explanation failed to convince a growing number of skeptics. In-depth analysis of her TikTok videos highlighted a lack of spontaneity and a calculated nature to her tics, furthermore fueling accusations of fabrication. The Tix and Roses controversy sparked outrage within the Tourette's community. Many who genuinely suffer from the condition felt their struggles were being trivialized and exploited for clout. The controversy also cast a shadow on genuine content creators raising awareness about TS. The Tix and Roses saga goes beyond a single creator faking a disorder. It highlights the perils of misinformation on social media and the need for creators to be transparent about their experiences. Furthermore, it raises the issue of fake disordering, a phenomenon where individuals fabricate illnesses for online attention. The Tix and Roses account is no more. Emerald's online presence has faded, and the controversy serves as a cautionary tale for creators and viewers alike. It underscores the importance of responsible use of social media and the need for critical thinking when consuming online content, particularly regarding medical conditions. Felix Cipher. The Felix Cipher saga began in February 2023, where they posted a video of themselves showcasing a new nose ring to the world. Now, although this may sound fairly innocent, viewers unknowingly unearthed a dark and confusing saga. The outfit that Felix wore in the video bore a startling resemblance to an M36 uniform, the kind that German soldiers wore during the wake of World War II. Not only that, but Cipher went on to admit that they were indeed Adolf Hitler reincarnated, that they had been Hitler himself in a past life. The internet went wild with this, and soon Cipher was being bombarded with hate messages left and right and censor. The controversy grew so large that they even received responses from Holocaust survivors who berated the influencer for their appalling claims. Confused as to why Cipher was seemingly proud of the fact they believed in a past life that they were once one of the most evil men to have ever lived. It's no surprise that amidst this storm, TikTok banned Cipher's account, and they have remained relatively unseen on the internet since, thankfully. The dirtiest TikToker ever, Powenv. If you have ever heard of the term bed rots, this TikToker takes it to new heights. Powenv, aka Jacob, is a self-proclaimed Roblox streamer and went viral due to the sheer mass of filth and grime he lived in. The Houston-based creator showcases his landfill of a room and its crusty glory to his viewers in an attempt to share his journey in clearing the mess away. Through his videos, we learn that not only is his bedroom infested with roaches, but that he allows piles of plates to gather, cups and bowls to marinate in his room, which is covered covered in various unknown stains. You would be forgiven if you thought Pal Envy was doing this as a viral stunt. However, in an interview he did with Business Insider, the talker reveals that this is just in fact how he lives, and that there is no satire or exaggeration about it. His personality may be slightly put on, and he makes himself seem much more awkward than he actually is, but the filth is 100% real. Charming. The Buddy, Buddy Haynes. To finish the surface level of the iceberg, let's delve into a figure that is completely deplorable. Buddy Haynes was a TikTok personality who gained fame in the early days of the platform for his quirky dance videos and cringeworthy thirst traps. The Buddy wished to be perceived as a TikTok bad boy, however had zero self-awareness as to how creepy he was. His popularity was short-lived due to a major controversy that erupted in 2018. It came out that Buddy Haynes was messaging very inappropriate things to underage girls over Snapchat, Facebook, and text messages. @BitHoji was the original TikTok user to expose these DMs between Buddy and the minors. Buddy had even made a pitiful attempt at preservation by saying he was hacked and that none of those videos or messages were sent to minors. After this controversy, the Buddy deleted his TikTok account, and it was suspected he was being investigated by authorities for his inappropriate behavior online. His hiatus was short-lived, and soon he began to post again. Once again, more allegations came out. Buddy was back to his vile ways. This all came to a head, and Buddy had no more further excuses and could no longer hide behind a screen when YouTuber @AlexPierceTV concocted a sting operation pretending to be a 17-year-old girl, to which the Buddy agreed to meet. He was exposed on camera, though still tried to deny he was there to meet a non-existent 17-year-old girl. After this, the Buddy went silent on TikTok and had numerous failed attempts to rebrand himself on platforms such as Twitch and SoundCloud. In 2021, he uploaded a video apologizing for his past behavior and stated factors such as him being off of his meds and drinking too much to have contributed towards his odd behavior. The Buddy/Buddy Haynes has still not returned to TikTok, though his deplorable actions have only been made more disturbing when users found out he had a past in working in a school. AB Buaban. The AB Buaban murders refer to the tragic events involving TikTok personality AB Buaban, also known as Jin Kid, who was charged with the murders of his wife, Anna Buaban, and another man, Rayburn Barone, in October 2021. AB Buaban, who gained fame on TikTok for his impressions and comedic content, was involved in a tumultuous relationship with his wife. Reports indicate that the couple had ongoing marital issues, leading to a separation shortly before the murders. On October 21, 2021, AB Buaban allegedly broke into the apartment he had previously shared with his wife, where he found Anna Buaban with friend Rayburn Cardenas Barone. According to the prosecution, Buaban fatally shot both Anna and Barone after the incident. Buaban reportedly picked up his daughter from school and then called his mother to confess to the shootings. He was arrested later that day. During the court hearings, it was revealed that Buaban had a history of domestic violence and had been stalking his wife prior to the murders. The case drew significant media attention due to Buaban's social media presence and the brutal nature of the crime. Buaban pleaded not guilty to the charges. The murders shocked both the followers of Buaban and the general public. Many expressed their disbelief and sorrow over the incident, highlighting the dark side of domestic violence and the potential dangers of seemingly perfect social media personas. His behavior in the courtroom is shocking and somewhat unhinged. There are scenes of him laughing at the prosecutors and scoffing at their remarks. After a lengthy trial, Buaban was found guilty on charges of first-degree murder. Mahik Bukari. Mahik Bukari, known for her presence on social media platforms like TikTok and Instagram, was accused of being involved in a plot that led to the deaths of two men, Saqib Hussain and Mohammed Hasim Ejazuddin, in a car crash in February 2022. The incident occurred on February 11, 2022, when Hussein and Ejazuddin's car was reportedly rammed off the road in Leicestershire, UK. The car crashed and caught fire, resulting in the deaths of both men. It was later revealed that the crash was not accidental, but rather a deliberate act linked to a dispute involving Mahik Bukari. The case's details suggested that the conflict was personal, involving Mahik's mother, Ansreen Bukari. Saqib Hussein was allegedly involved in a relationship with Ansreen, which had soured. Hussein reportedly threatened to expose intimate photos of Ansreen by sending them to her son and husband. Mahik Bukari, along with her mother and several other accomplices, were charged with murder and conspiracy to commit murder. The prosecution argued that the group orchestrated a plan to silence Hussein, resulting in the deadly car crash. The case received extensive media coverage, partly due to Mahik Bukari's social media fame. It highlighted issues related to personal disputes, escalating into violence, and the sometimes hidden dark side of social media influencers' lives. Mahik was sentenced to life in prison, with an order to serve at least 31 years in prison, and her mother was sentenced to life, with a minimum of 26 years. Mahik had 100,000 followers on TikTok, where she showcased a glamorous lifestyle with her mother. This case is a sheer testament that you never truly know what your favorite influencers are actually capable of, and what they get up to behind closed doors. Claire Miller. Claire Miller was a 14-year-old minor TikTok celebrity with roughly 22,000 TikTok followers at the time of the event. Her videos followed the trend of classic TikTok lip-syncing and general content with her family, notably her dad and sister, Helen Miller. It is important to know that her sister was wheelchair-bound due to her suffering from cerebral palsy. This detail is important to note with the unexpected and shocking details that we are about to discuss. On February 22, 2021, Claire Miller called 911 and reported that she had taken the life of her sister. When the police arrived at their home in the early hours of the morning, they found her disabled sister, Helen Miller, in her bed with a pillow over her face. Despite attempts to save her, Helen was pronounced dead at the scene. The motives behind the murder was unclear. Reports indicate that Claire Miller expressed regrets and distress during the 911 call, and when the police arrived, there was speculation about underlying mental health issues, but no clear motives were established. According to the Daily Mail, before Miller's TikTok accounts had been removed, she had posted footage to her TikTok showing a bloodied rubber glove and giraffe toy, allegedly at the scene. However, it remains unclear whether this was uploaded by Miller herself. Miller was sentenced to 12 to 40 years in prison for taking her sister's life away. Tragic crane video. Xiao Kaiyame was a Chinese social media influencer, tragically passed away in July 2021. The 23-year-old social media influencer and crane operator from China was known for sharing videos of her daily life and working on platforms like Douyin, the Chinese version of TikTok. Xiao Kaiyame was reportedly live-streaming her daily routines as a crane operator when suddenly and without any notice, she fell 160 feet to her death. Her final screams and moments were broadcast to her following. The exact circumstances leading to her fall were not entirely clear. It was widely reported that she lost her footing while attempting to film herself inside the crane cabin. Her death prompted an outpouring of grief and shock from her followers and the wider social media community. Many expressed condolences to her family and highlighted the risks influencers take to create. The influencer left behind 2 children and a heartbroken family, though speaks volumes of the dangers of being distracted by phones and social media when operating any type of heavy machinery, be it cars or, in this case, 160-foot cranes. Benadril Challenge. The Benadril Challenge is a dangerous social media trend that emerged on TikTok, encouraging participants to consume excessive amounts of the antihistamine Benadril to induce hallucinations. The challenge's origins can be traced back to mid-2020, when videos and posts promoting the practice began circulating on TikTok. The goal was to take enough Benadril to experience psychoactive effects, often described as hallucinations or delirium, and to document the experience on and video. The trend gained traction due to the platform's algorithm, which often promotes sensational and attention-grabbing content. Young users, driven by curiosity, peer pressure, or desire for social media fame, participated in the challenge without fully understanding the severe health risks involved. TikTok, known for its vast reach among teenagers and young adults, inadvertently became a breeding ground for the challenge, as the platform's content-sharing nature allowed these dangerous videos to quickly go viral. The influence of the Benadril challenge on TikTok has been significant and alarming. It has led to multiple reports of hospitalizations and even fatalities among teenagers who attempt the challenge. Medical experts warn that high doses of Benadril can cause serious side effects, including seizures, heart arrhythmias, coma, and death. The challenge prompted widespread concern among parents. In response to the growing number of incidents, TikTok took steps to remove content related to the Benadril challenge and banned users promoting it. The platform also implemented stricter monitoring and issued warnings about the dangers of participating in such challenges. Additionally, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration (FDA) issued public warnings about the risks associated with high doses of Benadril, urging social media companies to take more responsibility in preventing the spread of harmful content. Despite these efforts, the Benadril challenge underscores the broader issue of how dangerous trends can rapidly proliferate on social media platforms, highlighting the need for ongoing vigilant education and proactive measures to protect vulnerable users. E-begging. E-begging doesn't refer to the typical people on TikTok live begging for hearts and galaxies, like Jason Nash, cough cough, but instead refers to a much creepier, more sinister rabbit hole that I'm almost certain you have at least once stumbled upon late one night. This form of e-begging refers to the influx of people, majority of whom appear to be from non-Western countries, participate in increasingly bizarre behavior to receive donations on TikTok in the form of the gift feature. Some of these people lay shivering in pools of water, completely silent, as they stare at the camera, and others lay shivering in a ditch covered in mud. This bizarre trend is all over the platform, and barely anyone online seems to discuss it. It is unknown who the individuals are behind these accounts, but they appear all over the platform and are highly unsettling. Bethany Martin. In 2021, Bethany Martin and an unknown friend would post this TikTok, stating that they had found a dead body that morning. Little did anyone know the true story behind it was a little bit more heartless. Bethany Martin, 17 years old, and her friend, 16 years old, came across the corpse of a 25-year-old Marcus Adams, who had recently taken his own life. Instead of calling the cops, Bethany Martin proceeded to record the corpse for her Snapchat story and then steal a medallion from the chain around his neck. She then later called another friend who contacted authorities. Martin was later arrested and charged with theft to a human corpse or grave. She stated she stole the necklace because it fit her style. The medallion and chain was later returned to the deceased's family. Gabby Patito, TikTok craze. Throughout the Gabby Patito case, TikTok played a significant role at various stages, from initial awareness to legal developments and advocacy efforts. Initially, TikTok users swiftly spread information about Gabby Patito's disappearance after her family reported her missing in September 2021. Videos discussing her last known whereabouts and physical description circulated widely, utilizing the platform's reach to amplify awareness and encourage public vigilance. As media coverage intensified, TikTok became a hub for discussions and speculations regarding the circumstances of her disappearance. Users analyzed social media posts, surveillance footage, and other details, contributing actively to the public discourse surrounding the case. TikTok's influence extended beyond discussion, impacting the investigation itself, as tips and leads generated on the platform were reported to law enforcement. This demonstrated TikTok's potential to crowdsource information and support efforts in locating missing persons. When Gabby Patito's remains were discovered in Wyoming later that month, TikTok played a crucial role in disseminating the news and expressing condolences to her family and friends. Videos mourning her loss and discussing the tragic outcome circulated widely. reflecting the platform's ability to engage emotionally with significant events. Throughout the legal developments, TikTok continued to be a platform for legal analysis and social commentary on the search for Brian Laundrie, Gabby's fiance, and a person of interest in the case. The widespread attention on TikTok also raised a broader awareness about issues related to domestic violence, missing persons, and the importance of recognizing signs of abuse in relationships. The Gabby Patito case has to be one of the most tragic out there. Patito's life was cut short by the actions of her fiance, who claimed that she had fallen and had murdered her to free her of her pain. Her fiance, Brian Laundrie, would later be found deceased himself, having ended his own life, to which he left perhaps the most self-pitying note of any killer. I believe this is the first time that TikTok has played such a pivotal role in any missing persons unfolding murder case in the history of the web. We live in a very strange time period where we're all connected by the click of a button. It seems the Patito case, for the most part, was aided with the help of social media and spreading awareness. However, this respect and consideration for the victims is not always the case, as we will later discuss. Ronnie McNut. Ronnie McNut tragically gained notoriety in August 2020 after a live stream of him taking his own life circulated widely on social media platforms, including TikTok. McNut, a 33-year-old man from Mississippi, streamed his own death on Facebook Live, which was subsequently shared and re-uploaded to other platforms, including TikTok. The incident sparked widespread shock and concern, raising significant questions about the responsibility of social media platforms in preventing the spread of graphic and harmful content. On TikTok specifically, users encountered videos or references to the live stream, often inadvertently due to the platform's algorithm and users' sharing behavior. Killian and Maruda. No one exists. Imagine waking up and going about your routine as usual. Say it's your day off, for example. Perhaps you wake up later and put off your morning chores or errands until midday. You would likely have zero need to interact with anyone until you left the house, and you wouldn't notice, perhaps until it was blaringly obvious, that you are the only person who still seems to exist within our reality. Killian and Maruda on TikTok is an account that delved into this hypothetical and explored the eerie stillness of a world completely lacking in human involvement. Killian and Maruda now simply goes by the user at Kilamaru on TikTok, and they have perhaps created the best ARG on the platform. They moved through empty cities, stating that they sussed out that we were living in a simulation, and thus attempted to mess with the code in our reality, leading to the absence of all other life forms, apart from the poster and a few animals. The interwoven story behind the account is fascinating, and I urge you all to watch from start to finish. Though the main question I have, and one that still hasn't been answered, is how has the user managed to record in such desolate locations? And how do they have access helicopters, boats, and even the Batmobile? We may never know until Kilamaru reveals the real truth, but whether the videos are made up with special effects or are a CGI creation, it doesn't distract from the sheer craft put into each short video, some of which, mainly the empty cities, are vastly reminiscent to the isolation we all felt during the COVID pandemic. Morgillin's disease is a controversial and poorly understood condition characterized by a range of unusual and often distressing symptoms, including crawling sensations on the skin, lesions, and the presence of fibers or other particles protruding or buried in the skin. The term Morgillin's was coined by Mary Lato, a mother who observed these symptoms in her young son in 2002 and named the condition after a historical reference to a similar affliction. Individuals with Morgillin's typically report sensations of insects crawling under or on their skin, formations, itching, and a feeling of fibers or granules emerging from their skin. Skin lesions or sores are common, often attributed to the constant scratching or attempts to remove perceived foreign objects. Other symptoms may include fatigue, joint pain, difficulty concentrating, and cognitive issues, although these are not universally present. Morgillins remains controversial within the medical community due to the lack of conclusive evidence linking it to a specific infection agent or environmental factor. Some medical professionals classify it as a delusional disorder, specifically delusional parasitosis, where individuals have a fixed false belief of infestation despite contrary evidence. Due to it not being a formal medically recognized condition, there is not much in the way of medical care for those who swear they suffer by it. There has been a peculiar subculture of videos popping up on TikTok under the hashtag Morgillins, specifically one user who posts videos of their hair supposedly moving on its own, which could simply be put down to breathing on it. Even stranger, the comments agree with this user, stating things such as, "It has duplicated your hair," and "It mimics the texture of my hair," almost as if they believe that whatever is causing what they believe to be Morgillins is a sentient being of sorts. Infamously, there is a user on YouTube, Noah Martin, who was performing self-mutilation on camera in order to cut out the chunks of Morgillins he believed he had underneath his skin, just showing how far some of these delusions go when concerning this condition. Thankfully, there hasn't been anything as serious as this popping up on TikTok as of yet. However, with TikTok's reputation for inappropriate content, it probably won't be too long before there is. As stated before, Morgillins is not a medically recognized condition. It is hard to say what these individuals are experiencing, though it is believed scientists are still doing further research into this bizarre phenomenon. Bond Skinny. Does anyone remember the user Bond Skinny, or better yet, recognize this horrifying mask she wore? I feel as if I'm the only person to remember the Bond Skinny saga as it unraveled, and more so now as the creator behind the page has seemingly disappeared for good across numerous platforms. Bond Skinny was a user whose rise to TikTok infamy during the period of 2019 was crazy, where she donned a disturbing mask with the clownish red hair. The Bonnie Skinny videos portrayed a character named Bonnie, who was seemingly suffering from some type of mental illness and wore a mask to hide her face, due to not being pretty, as she would say. It also was revealed later on that she had been kidnapped and was being held captive by someone called Mr. Man. For some reason, people on the internet believed this at the time. Bond Skinny was one of the more wishy-washy attempts at an ARG. There wasn't a cohesive story, and it was eventually cut short when the creator's identity was revealed by trolls, and she began to receive mass amounts of hate and harassment due to her suffering from a condition that affects the appearance of her face. Unfortunately, Bond Skinny was shut down soon after, and the creator has resigned themselves from all forms of their social media as a result. Tyson Chandler. There was a series of TikTok videos created by Tyson and Tatum Chandler, a couple on TikTok, primarily creating couples content for the platform. There was nothing out of the ordinary with the couple's content, which is why what occurred next was so out of character. The couple documents an exploration of their new Texas home for TikTok, and soon things go horribly wrong. The story soon devolves into the couple finding animal carcass on their property, including a skull hidden in a small doorway. Soon, they capture a looming figure peering at them from the forest. The couple dubbed the figure as a stalker who would relentlessly torment them and slink around their property. One video even showed them in conversation with a police officer in his car, waiting to see if the stalker will make another appearance once more. The officer let the couple know that a nearby commune who dubbed themselves as a meditation group could be the ones behind the harassment, and urged the young couple to sell up and leave, to which Tyson and Tatum do. They move across the state into a new home. This does not solve their issue, however. The stalker continues their pursuit across state lines and only ramps up their shocking behavior, including banging on windows, leaving notes, etc. They eventually decide to move across the country, and this is where the story ends. Now, the validity of this story is in question. There is no trace of the couple on TikTok anymore, and I cannot find the stalker footage, nor any other related social media for the couple. I suppose the unbelievable story of Tyson Chandler can be considered TikTok lost media.
So me and my family just moved into this new house deep in the country. Okay. We've been hearing a sudden thump every night since we moved in, so I decided to check it out. Okay, I would move out right away. I went up to the bonus room where there is a strange door behind the bed. Okay. Okay, no, just run. Just run. No one sleeps in it because it's unusual sense of cold air. Okay, I'm out. Just go. Just move out.
Reese Bonner footage. The Reese Bonner footage refers to the tragic video released by TikToker at Bethany Bonner, the mother of Reese Bonner. The footage released shows the body of 19-year-old Reese being dragged out of a nearby woodlands by police in Scotland. The body is treated with a disturbing lack of respect by the search and rescue team, as his half-naked corpse is pulled across the grass by 2 pieces of rope. He was not placed in a body bag, nor wheeled out in a gurney, and the scene was not taped off. It is stated that he was dragged 1,000 feet through dirt and mud, with his head hitting rocks as they made a shocking attempt at the recovery of his body. The footage is heartbreaking to say the least. Despite the incident occurring in 2019, there still has been no answer as to what happened to Reese, and his killer has not been found. Bethany Bonner tirelessly campaigns for justice to be brought to her son. In February 2023, Bethany took her story beyond TikTok and took it to the Scottish Parliament, demanding the police in charge of her son's case be held under scrutiny. Bethany proposed that unexplained deaths must be handled with more care and compassion by the police, and that they provide the victims of these tragedies with answers instead of leaving them with more questions. It is suspected by locals in the area and by Bethany Bonner of who killed Reese Bonner, an unnamed woman known to the area and known to the police to have committed predatory actions before, including attempting to have locked a teenage boy in her home in the past. Despite this knowledge, it appears that the police have done nothing. It was also revealed through personal emails that the police force had made deliberate attempts to intimidate Bethany Bonner and her legal rep due to a complaint she had lodged against Police Scotland due to the mishandling of a corpse and the case itself. This is a tragic story of police negligence, but an important tale that we must always stand for injustices in the world, even if it is to be against the powers that be. Jay Slater. Jay Slater was a 19-year-old from Lancashire who disappeared in Tenerife on June 17, 2024, after attending the NRG Music Festival at Papagayo Beach Club. Witnesses at the club reported that Jay appeared unwell and unstable, leading a waitress to give him water without charge. The night after the festival, Jay traveled to a remote Airbnb in the northern part of the island with 2 men, unknown to him. He was suspected to have left the Airbnb on foot, intending to walk back to the festival area, but never returned to his friends. Like the Gabby Patito case discussed earlier, this story has been all over TikTok as of late, perhaps more so than the news, as internet sleuths dig through the trenches of video clips from all over TikTok and Instagram, trying to spot any sight of Jay lingering in the background, as people attempt to cloud together his final moments with others. Unfortunately, the Jay Slater case has not been handled with the same compassion as the Patito case has been. There have been numerous memes about what potentially happened to Jay, and many vile allegations posed against his family, the main one being that the GoFundMe they started in order to aid in the search of Jay was to actually pay off a drug debt he had after losing some product in Tenerife, and that's who these 2 mystery men were related to that he went off with the night of his disappearance. Unfortunately, as of the 16th of July 2024, it appears authorities have recovered remains thought to be Jay Slater's, and again the TikTok reaction is proving to be completely insensitive, saying that the outcome was boring due to not being what everyone had theorized so far. The comparison with the Jay Slater / Gabby Patito cases and the treatment of them online is an interesting look into the human psyche and parasocial relationships. Both of these cases revolve around very real people, and that's what seems to be lost in translation. In the case of Jay Slater, his family has lost a 19-year-old boy who most likely had much more to give in life, and his disappearance has been made a mockery of on TikTok. Cassie Compton, Haley Phillips. This disturbing video circulated TikTok in 2021. Not only does the woman in the video appear to have 2 black eyes, but has a distinct similar appearance to this missing Arkansas girl, Cassie Compton. Compton disappeared one night in 2014 after going to the corner store and never returning. Compton has still not been found to this day. The girl in the video, though resembling Cassie, is not in fact Cassie Compton. It was a woman called Haley Grace Phillips, who later confessed that her eyes were bruised due to a robbery, and that although her family had seemingly reported her missing, she was just fine. Sadly, this isn't where the story ends, however. Unfortunately, Haley Grace Phillips died of a suspected overdose in 2023. Her death is a tragic one, and her family have been left without numerous answers, especially due to Phillips's body being covered in cuts and contusions. No one else has been linked to her death. Brandon Haberlin. This man is perhaps one of the most deplorable characters on the internet. Brandon Haberlin was a decisive figure on TikTok from the start. His videos consist of typical cringe content and rage bait nonsense, one in which he mostly targets women, making derogatory comments towards them. In a disgusting turn of events, Brandon's original TikTok account was deleted due to a rant on his live, where he admits to kissing a 9-year-old child. Brandon Haberlin seemingly has no remorse for this action and stated that people should forgive him for his past and not to take the situation as seriously as they are. In July 2022, Brandon was arrested in Kentucky on charges relating to forced imprisonment and numerous other SA allegations. The victim later stated that Brandon had reached out to her, asking her to drop the allegations against him, and his defense was that he couldn't hear her not consenting at the time of the act. All of the combined information makes it apparent why Brandon Haberlin eventually lost his following, with numerous failed attempts to relaunch his social media career. As of yet, there have been no updates on his court case. However, we know he dropped out of his university due to the allegations taking place there, and that he has remained relatively quiet ever since. There was word of him possibly attending another university, to which the students posted a change.org petition, though it is unclear where Haberlin currently goes to university, or if he even is getting his education at all. One thing for certain though, his reputation, rightly so, has been ruined. The Holocaust Challenge. As discussed prior, if you hear the word challenge following any word on TikTok, the stories that come out of it will probably not be good, but this one takes the cake. This TikTok trend was called the Holocaust Challenge, and as you can imagine, consisted of users covering themselves in fake bruises and cuts and wearing the infamous striped pajamas that many victims of the Holocaust were forced to wear by SS officers during World War II. The trend got so many eyeballs on it that the Holocaust Museum in Auschwitz issued a statement saying that the trend was beyond the border of trivialization of history. When you search up this trend on TikTok now, instead of insensitive videos, you're met with a redirection on information surrounding the Holocaust. As far as TikTok trends go, this is certainly amongst the most dumb and shameful. Balenciaga Saga. The controversy surrounding Balenciaga didn't strictly appear on TikTok, but the videos that went viral as a result are certainly disturbing with context. Major fashion brand Balenciaga came under fire in early 2022 due to their disgusting ad campaign, which featured heavy themes of an inappropriate nature throughout. This included photos of kids holding teddy bears with BDSM harnesses on. A few months later, they also photographed a bag sitting on top of newspaper clippings on a Supreme Court case related to CP material. All of this combined prompted the cancel Balenciaga hashtag on TikTok, and flood of strange controversial videos surfaced as a result. One video that went viral consisted of the conspiracy that former Balenciaga model Isaiah Bass' corpse was being used as a front shop mannequin in their Paris store. This is due to the fact that shortly after the model disappeared, this horrifying lifelike mannequin does indeed share a stark resemblance to the missing man, though it is almost impossible that it is a waxed covered corpse. Another TikTok video shows Balenciaga runway models holding a bag, and inside are children's blankets, toys, and a baby doll covered in fake blood. Many celebs have disavowed, then went back to wearing Balenciaga, but one thing is for sure, the public have definitely seen a darker side to the fashion brand, and it will probably go down as one of the most disastrous ad campaigns in the 21st century. Ryan Garcia breakdown. Fairly recently on his TikTok and Instagram, he has been showcasing signs of what some would refer to as mental decline, though others see him speaking the truth. He began posting bizarre videos exposing Hollywood celebs and creating lists of those he believes sold their soul to make it in the business. Garcia also claims he was kidnapped by elites and forced to watch horrific content. These rants and ravings were posted to his Twitter, now X account. The Garcia situation is still unfolding day by day, though it is suspected he is currently facing some sort of mental snap, either due to his alcohol use or perhaps due to cognitive failure, due to him boxing from such a young age. Though his fall from grace began recently when he started dropping the N-word. This baffled many people, and those around him began to distance themselves. Lixie Bonner. The Lixie Bonner situation is certainly a story of modern internet justice. This case is primarily one from the UK and centers around an alleged video of a teenage girl dragging an 8-year-old autistic boy by his ankles, stomping in on his privates, and generally attacking him. Since the incident and video went viral, the internet spent no time leaking the girl's name, age, and her exact address. It is thought that she is in police protection due to numerous attacks having taken place against her. However, this is hard to corroborate due to numerous fake accounts being made of her on TikTok. Cappy. Cappy was an American actor and musician who gained some notoriety not for his acting career but for his involvement in various controversies and conspiracy theories. Cappy appeared in small roles in films such as Thor and Terminator Salvation. However, he became more widely known for his public accusations against several Hollywood celebrities, whom he claimed were involved in nefarious activities. Cappy made headlines when he accused several high-profile celebrities, including Tom Hanks and Seth Green, of being involved in CSA and other criminal activities. These accusations were part of a broader set of conspiracy theories related to Hollywood and elite circles. He used platforms like Twitter and Instagram to broadcast his accusation and theories, which gained him a following amongst the conspiracy theorists. Concerns about Cappy's mental health were raised as his behavior became increasingly erratic. He made several videos in which he appeared distressed and claimed to be under threats. Eventually, on May 13, 2019, Cappy died by taking his own life. He reportedly jumped off a bridge in Arizona and was struck by a vehicle. Prior to his passing, he posted a lengthy note on Instagram where he expressed regrets and apologized to people he felt he had hurt. Cappy's story is often cited in discussions about the impact of conspiracy theories and that sometimes they go too far and have tragic outcomes for individuals deeply involved in such narratives. His death only sparked more confusion though, as his fans and people who had been following the story closely on social media were confused as to why he was suddenly backtracking. Soon, his passing became a conspiracy itself. It seems as though not many people knew of Cappy's allegations at the time and that they had a resurgence on TikTok lately. At least that's how I found them. The Cappy Saga is a disturbing tale spanning multiple social media pages, and we will never know if there's some truth to these stories that come from Hollywood. TikTok score problem. Finally, we will discuss the inherent score problem on TikTok. This issue may not be widely known due to the sporadic nature of the videos and their relation to algorithm issues. As mentioned numerous times, TikTok is one of the most popular social media platforms globally. However, it has been grappling a persistent issue, often referred to as its score problem. Despite having community guidelines that explicitly prohibit graphic and violent content, TikTok has struggled time and time again to keep such material off its platform. Users have seemingly found loopholes or exploits, allowing gore to be freely posted and even pushed out by the algorithm itself. This problem became much more widespread with incidents like the cat in the blender video, which depicted extreme animal cruelty and shocked many users. Such content not only violates TikTok's policies, but also raises serious ethical and psychological concerns. These videos highlight significant shortcomings in TikTok's content moderation system. Although the platform employs both algorithmic content moderation and human reviewers to monitor and remove inappropriate content, these measures are not always effective. The algorithm designed to maximize engagement can sometimes amplify graphic content because disturbing videos generate significantly more viewers and interaction through shock, outrage, or morbid curiosity. Additionally, the platform's report system, which allows users to flag inappropriate content, is not foolproof. There are instances where reported videos remain accessible for extended periods of time, suggesting delays and inefficiencies in the review process. This gap in timely content removal means that graphic and violent videos can reach and affect a large number of users, including minors who are particularly vulnerable. The psychological impact of exposure to such disturbing content can be severe, leading to trauma, anxiety, and desensitization to violence. Young users who form a significant proportion of TikTok's audience are particularly at risk. Some of the world's most shocking and notorious videos have found their way onto TikTok. Reportedly, footage of Daisy's destruction has been posted to the platform, as well as footage of cartel killings combined with horrific audio of people dying. It is not a shock that these videos can sometimes make their way to the web. However, they surely shouldn't be accessible so easily, and so accidentally at times. This has been the disturbing TikTok iceberg.